What's up? A to Z Sports Live on a Tuesday. Going to have a good show today talking about the latest news in NFL quarterback world with Bryce Young being benched yesterday by the Carolina Panthers just 2 games into his second season, the former number 1 overall pick. That's a disastrous situation. And Titans fans, it could always be worse. But I do think this opens up the conversation for how long is the leash on Will Levis after 2 weeks of Will Levis having bonehead turnovers? Bonehead turnovers. Is that like the right way to categorize these plays, Easton, real quick? Is it bonehead turnovers? Is that fair? Can we call it that and just understand that's what we're talking about?
Sure. I was listening to you guys yesterday on the morning show, and I think one of the listeners used bullheaded, which I kind of like better because it's somebody asked me if I thought the Will Levis flick stupid plays were him just being like have way too much like testosterone male energy. And the way I described it is it's like, quote, "It's Will Levis time," attributed to Will Levis. That's what happens every time he decides to do that. So it is kind of a I'm Superman. I think bullheaded might be the right way to refer to it.
So bullheaded turnovers for Will Levis. So we'll see if those end, and that might affect the length of the leash from head coach Brian Callahan. So we'll talk through that, which I think is going to be a very interesting conversation. And then we'll also throw shade at the end of the show because it's Tuesday, and we always throw shade at the end of these Tuesday show. Easton, welcome in. Going to have a good conversation. Tell the people what they got to do before we get going here.
Good morning, people. We appreciate you guys being here with us live on a Tuesday morning. Help us out. Share the show. Make sure you're liking and retweeting if you're watching with us. If you're following along with us on Twitter, if you're watching with us on Facebook or on YouTube, hit that like button for us. Grab that link, hit share, send it to a friend, somebody that you know is a Titans fan that wants to tap in this morning. Tell them to get in here, and we would love to hear you guys' comments always over on the YouTube channel in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts on Will Levis and the Bryce Young benching and what this means for the Titans going forward. So we appreciate you guys being here.
Yep, we'll soon officially welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Easton Freeze, our Titans reporter at A2ZSports.com, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports.network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans and use our link to get a better quote for your health coverage, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And TDOT, be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee by visiting them at nobodytrashestennessee.com. So, Easton, the news that I thought was kind of shocking yesterday was the fact that the Carolina Panthers are already going to bench Bryce Young, a former number 1 overall pick, and now they're going to go with Andy Dalton in week 3. Did you think this was shocking first?
So the timing of it, yes. The fact
that it happened yesterday.
Right. The fact that it happened this season, no. And I have to give a shout out to somebody that you may not even know, but maybe folks in the comments will. Steven Ruiz over at The Ringer, who does so he does a fantastic annual column, kind of a recurring thing where he's grading the quarterbacks, and he's a very smart person when it comes to quarterback tape. And he's also a tortured Panthers fan. And he went on Bill Simmons' podcast like 3 months ago and said, I think Bryce Young's getting benched this year. And at the time it was crazy, but he made a very strong case for why this guy on tape, he's just a broken quarterback. And in the first 2 weeks of the season, we saw a broken quarterback, right? He's just lost mentally. He's drowning. And so I get them doing it. But on paper, a first-round pick, you traded a lot to go up and get. The implications of Young versus the opportunity you had to get Stroud versus the opportunity you could have had to get Caleb Williams, and how you kind of gift wrap that to the Bears. Everything about it makes this such a high-stakes failure. I can't think of the last time an organization made such a fundamental mistake with the way that they handled their quarterback room. So it is shocking that they've done it, even though you can get it and you can watch it and be like, yeah, you got to bench that guy. It's crazy that they did it now.
Is it the quickest trigger on a number 1 overall pick in NFL history? I mean, I'm trying to think I think Jamarcus Russell
Yeah, that's where my head went.
And Jared's like, do Titans talk. Jared, chill out, bro. Like, we're gonna do Titans talk.
We're getting there, man.
Like, we're setting the table for what this is. But like, I again, 18 games that Bryce Young has played.
Right. Now, and it's an interesting conversation. Do we think that they're benching him to be done? My reaction yesterday was kind of, I wouldn't be shocked. And so people were floating this idea, like, what if you bench Bryce Young? Because not just Bryce Young is broken. It's that this entire team is broken. Like, this offense isn't operating. Andy Dalton can kind of be that control for you. And maybe the idea from the coaching staff is, let's try to set a fundamental baseline with our offense and then see if we can't give Bryce Young a couple weeks off. Kind of like the Tua Ryan Fitzpatrick situation early in his career, where you're kind of going back and forth. Justin Fields and Andy Dalton is wrapped up in these a lot, actually. So that kind of situation where you try to get him back in there, it's a tenuous one, because if Dalton looks even remotely better, the fans are going to revolt if you try to put Bryce back in there. But at the same time, don't you feel like you kind of have to try to go back to him you can't just be done forever now, can you? Can you say at 18 games, you're done forever?
Well, and I think that's the interesting part about this, because quarterbacks are delicate. They are. And quarterback situations have to be handled with a very specific amount of care. And kind of like kickers are the easiest football player to ruin mentally.
Right.
And all it takes is one benching or one mistreatment or whatever. Like, you can't yell at a kicker the way that Brian Callahan yelled at Will Levis. I think you can yell at Will Levis that way, and he's not going to like crumble. But kickers probably not. But I do think with quarterbacks, sometimes it is difficult to go back once, like, you let the toothpaste out of the tube. Now with Bryce Young, it's just so strange, because I don't know what they're trying to accomplish this year, because it's the first year of a new head coach. It's not like they were spending a bunch of money to go like win right now. They're not in the Titan situation where they think they can compete with their second year quarterback because of the new situation. The Panthers are understood like basement floor is where the Panthers are. But 2 games in, they're already saying, nope, never mind. We're going to bench Bryce Young, which I thought I was shocked that you gave up that quickly, because I don't necessarily see them going back to Bryce Young and it being a way to actually get to a good spot. Like, it kind of feels like it's over.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree that it feels that way. There's still a part of my brain that says you got to try again at some point. But you're right. I don't know where you go from here. And I don't see Bryce Young flipping a switch. He'd have to get so much better, because right now he is, or was, so bad, like so worst in the league, not close bad.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's done, which is wild. And so, like, I mean, the trade, like Trey Lance, Deshaun Watson, Bryce Young, Herschel Walker, like the worst trades in NFL history. Bryce Young has now put himself in that situation, and the Panthers are in a bad spot. So what does that mean you got something else to add there?
I was just going to say, unironically, I think the Dolphins should trade for Bryce Young, but that's a conversation for another day.
Oh my goodness.
If the Panthers are trying to just get rid of him and the Dolphins need a guy, I think Bryce could operate that offense.
Yeah, I don't think Bryce Young's career in the NFL is over, but I do think it's wild that it's just took 18 games for him to say, nope, moving on with the new coaching staff, because it would be way too early to bench Will Levis, right? Because that's what we're going to get to now, because the title of the show is the Titans' leash on Will Levis is now open for debate, because they're not going to be the first one to bench the quarterback in that draft class. And so I think there is a little bit of like, nobody wants to be the first to jump. And especially when it's a negative thing, like you want to let somebody else step out on the ledge, get made fun of, and then you can kind of slide back there and do what you need to do. Now, I don't know. Anthony Richardson wasn't very good, because I did see some comments here. Alex said this before we actually started the show. There's no point in benching Levis at this point. The season is already over. I think the season is not
September
over.
17th, time of death,
no,
8:20 a.m.
Anthony Richardson is not good, and every other team beside the Texans are 0-2, and the Titans have 2 winnable games coming up. So the season's not over, but I do think it is now open for debate on how long is the Will Levis leash. Now I'm going to put this graphic up on the screen, Easton, for you to kind of share the details of all this. But here are the numbers of the 4 quarterbacks that are top 33 picks in that draft when it comes to Bryce Young, number 1, CJ Stroud, number 2, Anthony Richardson, 4th overall pick from the Colts, and then Will Levis at 33. Kind of break us down these numbers. And obviously CJ Stroud has a lot of green boxes because he's been by far the best. And Anthony Richardson tied with CJ Stroud because he's only played 6 games in interceptions. So kind of take us through what your evaluation is of these 4 guys through a very short, small sample size.
Right, and these are just the basic counting stats, but like you noted, one of these things is not like the others. CJ Stroud obviously standing out as the clear best of the group so far. Just some things that stick out. Obviously, it's hard to directly compare because you've got so many different. I mean, it's Stroud and Young have largely started their entire careers, but then Levis and Richardson starting at different times, so kind of a staggered timeline. But you look at Levis is, clearly ahead of both Richardson and Young in terms of passing yards per game. Richardson and Levis have both led the league for most of the time they've been in the league in terms of yards per attempt, their average depth of target. These guys push the ball down the field, and Levis's number is brought down significantly by the first 2 games he's played this year. Last year, that number was outrageous and was number 1 in the league. Total passing yards, hard to compare because of the different numbers of games. Obviously, you see the rushing upside of Anthony Richardson, but I don't think there's a ton to take away from just the basic counting stats in terms of our conversation here today, whether or not Levis's leash should be shorter than we previously thought, or what we think that leash is. Where do we want to go with this? Do you want to kind of dive into some of the advanced metrics that I have?
I want to ask the question.
Let's ask the question.
I want to get people's raw emotional reaction in their answer. And so, Guy says, what's the big love fest with Anthony Richardson? A great question. I don't know. But
he was my QB1. I'm not losing faith yet, but I don't like what I see.
Yes. All right. So here's the question. With Bryce Young benched, how long should Will Levis's leash be by the Titans? How long should the leash be for Will Levis? That's the question we're going to ask, because the Titans don't have to be the first to do it. They can be the second to it and give Levis more time. How long should Will Levis's leash be for the Tennessee Titans as their quarterback? But first, let me tell you guys all about our great friends at T-Dot. Over 88 million pieces of litter are on Tennessee's roadways right now. It is ridiculous. That is a massive problem. Will Levis turnovers are approaching the amount of litter on Tennessee roadways. And T-Dot spends over $23 million each year cleaning up that litter, and they cannot do it alone. You can join local cleanups or make other simple changes in your life, like stopping littering or picking up litter when you see it. Every action counts, and Tennessee needs all of us to step up and be part of the solution today and help keep Tennessee beautiful. Visit NobodyTrashesTennessee.com to see how you can get involved with you, your family, your kids. Want to get involved doing something for the state? Do that. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com.
We're also brought to you this morning by BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. Guys, it's football season. You got to sign up at BetMGM using our promo code A to Z Sports and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. That's $1,500. And whether you're cheering on the Titans at the stadium or watching at your favorite Music City sports bar, you're always going to get in on the action with BetMGM, because that app is right in the palm of your hands. There's nothing better than a Titans win, and there is nothing better than the thrill of winning a bet at BetMGM. Enjoy the best parlay selection options, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, so much more. Download the BetMGM app today. Sign up using code A to Z Sports and experience the football season like never before. BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans.
All right, Easton, I'll send you to the chat, and I will let you go ahead and tell us what the people are saying, because we asked them, how long should Will Levis's leash be Now that Bryce Young has been benched for Andy Dalton in Carolina. So what are the answers that you're seeing in the chat? Because there's all over the place.
Yeah, King VC says he has until the bye week, so he gets the month of September, according to King
2 more
VC.
games.
Yeah, that's all. Anthony says he should get until game 10. Let's see. Jonathan Carvely agrees that until the bye week, he needs to not make any dumb plays, and then they can go from there. Let's see here. Brad says the rest of the season. Jeffrey says literally this next game, if he does another flick and fumbles the ball, he's out in Jeffrey's book. Matt says he should get a full season with the whole new staff. Billy agrees. A lot of bye weeks. Wow. Kermit thinks you might as well just go ahead and tank. Okay, so most people seem to be thinking, as I'm scrolling here, the answer is less than the full season, which I think is very silly. I don't.
I'm gonna read some more comments because
okay, you want to get some more here? All right.
Mid-season, if he's not improved by then, bench him. Jameson, another one, bye week. Give Levis the bye. It's that simple. If he's still shite, you move on. These are very basic, fundamental mistakes, right. Which is funny. Hashtag says if he plays the same way by the bye week. Adam says 30 games. What? Adam's like, leash.
Adam is my patient king. Leash? Adam, I appreciate
Adam. Is the people that walk their dogs in the neighborhood that have the retractable leash that don't stop it from extending. They just let the dog go wherever they want it to. Wherever the dog wants to go, that's where Adam is.
Adam believes in free range parenting.
Yes. Adam's dog isn't even on a leash. He's just running around bothering which today is shade day, but like, don't walk your dog off leash in the neighborhood. It causes anxiety with other dogs who are on leash.
Sure.
That is just a PSA, an education side tangent there. So there's a lot. Like Jeffrey, bench him until Ryan Tannehill gets back. And until he gets to 29 interceptions.
Wow.
So better not lose to Green Bay and Malik. So Easton, I'll let you take it from here because I know you've got some advanced metrics that you want to go through.
Right.
But how long should this leash be?
Yeah, the leash coming into the season was the full season, and that hasn't changed. That isn't going to change. I don't foresee anything that Will Levis can do to change that math. And there's a couple of reasons here. Now, let's just start with the direct comparison to Bryce Young, which was not surprising when we saw it yesterday because they're the same draft class. They are two guys that people are not pleased with right now in their level of play. But when you just look at these two guys from an EPA standpoint, which is, for folks that may not know, expected points added, it's an advanced metric that essentially translates the productivity of your offense, like yards gained, into points on the board that you should or should not be scoring. And it's a long time metric that has a very strong track record of predicting which teams are good and which teams are bad, or which quarterbacks are good or which quarterbacks are bad, who is doing good things for their offense. And when you look at Will Levis, he has a bad EPA number. His cumulative net EPA in his last 10 starts, which I know he's played 11 games, but one of those he played like 6 snaps, so we can't count that one. Negative 46.5 expected points added from Will Levis in his last 10 starts. Not good. Let's look at some other notable quarterbacks along that stretch here.
Yes. Yeah.
How about Daniel Jones? Negative 69.3. He's been quite bad for a while. Nice. Also nice. Deshaun Watson, negative 69.4.
You can't make that joke.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's banned from that one. Zach Wilson, notable bad, very, very bad quarterback. His last 10 starts, negative 117.7. And then we scroll all the way down to Bryce Young at negative 136.6 expected points added in his last 10 games. So to recap, Will Levis is at negative 46.5. Young is at negative 136.6. That may mean nothing to folks, but that is one of a handful of ways that you can demonstrate with the advanced metrics. These guys are not close to being on the same level. Will Levis is not close to being in the same boat as Young in terms of, first of all, just mentally being a broken quarterback. If anything, he has the opposite issue. Like Young is is overthinking everything, not seeing the field, unable to do the little things. Our problem with Will Levis is largely just you're doing too much. Relax, do less. But another way of putting this, everyone knows how bad Will Levis was in Chicago. And by the way, nearly half of that negative EPA for Will Levis came in just week 1 this year. Of those 10 games, almost half of it came from that game. Oh, wow. Negative 21.9 EPA against Chicago for Will Levis. By far, from an EPA standpoint, his worst game as a pro. Not close. As bad as he was in that game, Bryce Young in his 18-game career has had 5 games as bad or significantly worse than that game. Wow. So it's not the same thing. They're not similar situations. And I can continue to talk about what I think for the rest of the season. But Austin, what do you make of those numbers?
Yeah. So he was not good, but also not a disaster before in his first 8 games that we're calculating of his rookie season, not counting the Texans.
It was very average rookie EPA, his first 8.
But you saw, games. And yes. Again, that's the frustrating thing. And you wrote the column yesterday at atozsports.com/Titans is that you see the good. You're getting teased by Will Levis because he's making really nice plays. He's throwing the ball beautifully down the field. Sometimes it doesn't get caught by Calvin Ridley. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it gets intercepted because it should have been caught by Treylon Burks. I am not going to give up on Will Levis at all. And so while it's frustrating and he can't keep doing this, Will Levis's leash should be the entire season. I think. I don't see the point of turning to Mason Rudolph if Will Levis is healthy.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. What would be that point? Can you make the argument?
So, I mean, I'm going to make the argument of why, because I've heard this, I've seen it on Twitter, I've heard it on other streams or radio or whatever.
Okay.
Of the hypothetical of if Mason Rudolph played and started both those games, what would the Titans' record be? Not 2-0 is my answer to that. Okay. Because I think that's where people are trying to lead you when they ask that hypothetical question. Because I don't think Mason Rudolph is scoring the points the way Will Levis is scoring the points. Mason Rudolph is not throwing the ball down the field to Calvin Ridley the way that he did on the touchdown. He's not throwing the touchdown to Chig. He's also not evading pressure and making plays with his legs in key spots. He's also, there's several things that Mason Rudolph is not capable of doing that Will Levis does. Now, Mason Rudolph's also not making the 2 bullheaded turnovers that Will Levis has done, but Mason Rudolph can throw picks. Mason Rudolph would probably have the strip sack fumble against Chicago when J.C. Latham got whooped on the edge.
He 1,000% would have lost that ball. Yes.
Right. So I don't think Mason Rudolph is a net positive over what Will Levis would have been, because I don't think that's how that would have worked. And look, Lucas says, Austin, anyone can get the 17 points. Give us a break. Easton, I did this morning.
Okay.
The Titans have now gone 37 games without scoring 30 points or more.
Right.
I added up how many times in those 37 games the Titans scored 17 or less.
Oh, okay. So not exactly 17, but 17 or less.
Exactly 17 was a lot.
I was about to say, I want to know how many times that
There were many. Okay. But there were also a lot of 16s too.
Okay.
And there were games they won with 17.
So you said 37 total games.
37 total games since they scored 30 points. How many
of them were 17
have they had 17 or less? Knowing that 2 of them have been the last 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah. It feels like north of half. So I'd say 20.
21.
Okay. Yeah, it's not good. It's really 11 not good.
Last year. 11 games of 17 or less out of 17 games. They only scored more than 17 points 6 times last year. Anyway, so it is a lot harder.
That's outrageous.
17 points than you can imagine.
Yeah, Nick, this was us, by the way. They should never land on 17 again. Go for 2 or miss the extra point on purpose.
But 16 is the second most common score for the Titans.
That's fine. That's fine. We've got to cross the 17 bridge first. We can deal with 16 later.
So Paul says until the Titans are out of the playoff contention. So I actually disagree because
So do
I
I.
think, okay, before we go into that step, Easton, what's your answer on how long should this leash be?
Yeah, my answer is the full season. It was before the season, the full
Okay.
season. It is still the full season. I don't think there's anything he could do. I think he could flick 6 the next 2 weeks and still not be benched.
Do you think? Because I think the Panthers are done with Bryce Young. Like I don't see this as a take one step back to
Okay.
take two forward. Do you think there is an opportunity for, like, if Will Levis flicks sixes the next 2 games away and the Titans are 0-4 because of the same stupid turnovers? Do you
Right.
think there's a chance of sit him down, gather himself, and then put him back in?
I mean, I wouldn't be supportive of doing it. Would they do it? Maybe. I mean, it would take him. It would take him clearly just mentally being in a blender and them feeling like this guy needs a second. But it'd be messy if they did it. So maybe a 10%, 5% chance that happens.
Gotcha. So I have a very specific reason on why I don't think the Titans should bench Will Levis if they are out of playoff contention.
Okay.
I'm going to get to that here in a second, and also we're going to hear from Brian Callahan on his belief of Will Levis. But first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn for all of your injury needs. Boneandjointtn.org is the website to go book an appointment whenever that injury pops up. You should go check them out. The region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care in Franklin, right off of I-65 on Highway 96, boneandjointtn.org. All the experts, all the resources are right there for you to make it easy on your recovery. I've used Bone and Joint 3 times. 3 too many, but injuries happen in life. But for a knee injury, a foot injury, and a bad shoulder that was back from high school days that kept popping up sometimes, but that happens in life. Boneandjointtn.org is where to go.
Does the Bone and Joint Institute do leg lengthening procedures? I'm asking for a recently benched friend. We're also brought to you by BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. It is football season, and we need you to sign up over on BetMGM using code A to Z Sports because, folks, you can receive a $1,500 bonus bets. You can receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit. So you are insured on that first bet over at BetMGM. Whether you're cheering on the Titans at the stadium, watching the game at your favorite Music City sports bar, you're always going to be in on the action because BetMGM's app is right in the palm of your hand. Nothing better than Titans winning football games, maybe except for winning bets on BetMGM. The thrill of getting that money in your account, nothing like it. Enjoy the best parlay selection odds, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, so much more. Download the app, BetMGM today. Use code A to Z Sports and experience this football season like never before.
All right, Easton. So we kind of asked the question because somebody said in the comments that they would roll with Levis until the playoffs are dead. I think I'm sticking with Will Levis when the playoffs are dead.
Yeah, why?
Because I think he's going to continue to allow you to lose football games.
Yeah,
correct. In that situation, right?
Yeah.
And so then you get a better draft pick.
That's really backwards logic, right? Because if folks now are thinking maybe Rudolph because he gives you a better chance to win games, then why, if the playoffs were dead, would you put the guy in that you think gives you the better chance to win games? That doesn't make any sense. So last year we dealt with this right down the stretch. It's like, man, the Titans better not win any more games and knock themselves out of the top 10 draft pick selection. This was a strong point by many. And now many of those same folks are saying, well, maybe you consider benching Levis for Rudolph because he gives you. But if Levis isn't the guy, trying to win football games with Mason Rudolph accomplishes nothing, right? It's
what it does?
It's spinning your tires.
Nick nailed it. Rudolph is NFL purgatory.
100%.
What is winning games with Mason Rudolph get you? It gets you Justin Fields or Russell Wilson.
It gets you what the Steelers have been for the last.
That's what happened last year.
Right. So, and I understand the base desire from fans to win football games. Like, sure. But if you get to the end of the season and it's clear Levis is not the guy, we got to do something else. Rudolph isn't that long-term something else, right? If you think that, I strongly disagree with you. I think Rudolph is a great backup and nothing more. And if they're in need of another quarterback, There's not anybody lined up to be a really fantastic free agent. Dak is, off the market, so that's not a thing that people are thinking about next offseason. The quarterback class is questionable, but there are some big names that are going to be drafted highly. You'd imagine the Titans would want to be in on that if they could. That requires losing football games. So to your point, Austin, there is no reason to bench Levis for good or for bad. If he is good, you play him because he's your guy. And if he is bad, you play him because you need to lose to get another quarterback.
Exactly. Amber says, Austin, what's your thoughts on trading Levis for Bryce Young? I don't want any part of that. Absolutely not.
The Panthers say, phone it in right now.
The Panthers
send that card.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Paige said this comment I favored. I said it when it happened from Paige. Got rid of the wrong quarterback. If someone had worked with Malik like they did with Levis, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think
Paige, did you watch Malik on Sunday?
Wrong. No.
I don't think Titans fans watched him. I don't think anyone watched the game.
No, because it was simultaneous of the Titans game. So
they just saw that he won. Go watch what he did in that game, and let's get back to it.
Yeah, for sure. So look, good for him to win that game.
Sure.
Amnesia, who is obsessed with me being biased against Will Levis.
You dirty Vol fan.
Are you not concerned about Levis hate causing long-term issues? Tannehill went from being a good quarterback to a quarterback who was afraid to throw the ball because he was afraid of throwing the pick. And Amnesia, I'll ask you, what about the hate of Ryan Tannehill made him afraid of throwing a pick? I think it was the interceptions that he threw that made him afraid of throwing a pick, if that's your take. Not the fact that anybody with a Twitter account was hating on Ryan Tannehill, because I don't think Will Levis gives a damn about what I think about him or cares or listens.
And if he does, he's not an NFL quarterback. If your quarterback cares deeply about the tweets from the masses, he's not your guy. Sorry.
Yeah. So I have zero impact on Will Levis's ability to play quarterback in the NFL for the Titans. Just so Amnesia knows, okay. I have zero impact on this.
Noted.
Whether I am in on him, out on him, thinks he gets the whole year or what. It makes no sense, Amnesia. So let's hear from Brian Callahan, because that's honestly what matters. Because Easton, you and I both say he gets the whole season. Now, a lot of the chat said bye week. Not everybody, but a lot of the chat did say bye week. Most were about mid-season or this season. We had Adam who was saying 30 games, and Adam clarified, including last year. So total,
which would still be into next year. Yeah.
Yeah. Which would still be going into year 3.
Adam is just Will in the chat. That's Will's front trying to get himself some games.
Yeah. There you go. Here's Brian Callahan when asked about his trust in Will Levis.
What's your trust level with him right now in terms of those sorts of things?
I still trust Will, and I think we still have to keep coaching it, and he's got to keep responding to the coaching, which is what he's done since I've been here. And so that part, I have a lot of confidence and trust in. I think Will wants to be good. He wants to do the right things, and we just have to keep showing him when and where to make those decisions. And I think he'll respond in turn. So that part, I don't have any reprehension about. I think he's done a good job with almost all of those things. And again, I thought we'd already gotten past the one, and another one shows up. So again, we keep coaching, keep bringing up the situation and the awareness and his ability to know that, our team ebbs and flows with him. And when we make those mistakes, they're killer. And again, the difference is it's an unforced error that he can control and not necessarily, just a good play by the defense or an aggressive throw that gets intercepted. I don't mind those things. It's the unforced ones that are maddening.
Easton, what's your take on what Brian Callahan said right there?
He said what he needs to say. We heard it from him after the game on Sunday. I still have faith in Will Levis. For what it's worth, my personal psych evaluation on him, which is not worth much, I do think he means that. We hear coaches all the time. We heard in Carolina until 10 seconds ago, Bryce Young is our quarterback. We have faith in him. That's the way that this works. They are until they aren't. And so whether he believes it or not, up until the day that Will Levis is no longer the starting Titans quarterback, Brian Callahan is going to say, I have the utmost faith in him. He's our guy. We trust Will. But right now, I think he means it. I guess my point is whether he means it or not, he's going to say it until he doesn't. So the fact that he's still saying it doesn't mean much to me. It's not, I guess what I'm saying is it's not going to be a gradual thing where he's like, well, I don't trust him as much as I did yesterday. No, it's going to be full trust until no trust.
Do you think how much do you think it's impacting the way Brian Callahan's calling plays?
I
think. Let me stop. So let me
Sure.
add to that, because I think with the trust, it's the same thing that we were talking about in the post game show. There is big picture trust, and then there's in the moment trust.
Get play to play trust. Like,
yes,
can you not do the dumb thing on this specific? Yeah, I don't think he's letting it impact his play calling too much. We've heard a lot of talk about trusting the process, can't pull any fire alarms, and that's the way that an NFL team should be operating in September, really, no matter what. If you fundamentally change the way that you're he has spent since April dreaming up, scheming, planning how his offense is going to look and how he's going to utilize Will Levis in that offense. I know that adjustment is necessary, and so you make tweaks week to week. But if you're fundamentally changing the way you plan to play ball after 2 games, that qualifies as panic to me. I think that that's not necessary. I think that would be too much of a change. And so I don't think it's changing his play calling. I think it's changing the way he's talking to Will, like just their interactions being like, hey, we talked on Sunday about the first game on the sideline where they're having that conversation. Look at the situation. Chicago's offense has done nothing. Let's just be smart with the ball. It's a lot more of that kind of thing. Not, I'm going to not call this play because he's likely to do something dumb. I'll call this safe and slow play instead.
Here's something I'm curious about, because you're talking about in the moment, because quarterbacks can hear their coaches in their helmet until 15 seconds on the play clock. And I don't know if we're ever going to have the full understanding of what that's like between these two guys. But on 3rd and 6 in the high red zone, right before Will Levis tosses the ball back to Tajay Spears and fumbles it away, does Brian Callahan say, let's take care of the ball? Like, what is that last? I mean,
hey, by the way, the last little thing.
But it's what is that last thing, or what is the conversation like leading up to that 15-second it cuts off?
Yeah, man, that's a great question, and it reminds me of there's an NFL Films clip from a couple of years ago. I think it was the Rams Super Bowl run, and it's Matt Stafford listening to McVay in his ear, and he's trying to get the play in, and he thinks he has the play, and he goes, "Oh no, he's still got." Sorry, guys, he's still going. Okay. Shut up, Sean. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if Brian's doing that to Will. I sure hope not. Like, when a guy is in this situation and there's the fragile quarterback trying to guard their mentals, I think giving them a lot is too much. Like, just leave the guy alone, let him work. So I hope that he's not, but it wouldn't shock me at all if he's throwing little things in there like, hey, by the way, in the technical stuff, like, hey, the hot's right there for you. Look for Tajay if things get sticky. Just do something safe here. Look at the play clock, look at the time, look at the score, something like that. Probably
that's like let's take it from a basketball coach perspective, right? Because there's situations in basketball you're like, no fouls or no threes, anything but a 3. Do not give up a 3. Like, give up a layup, not a 3, or foul. Don't foul here. Like, there's that last second message of reminder to a team. And here's the other thing too. Notice this. If you go back and watch the game, if you go, obviously the Packers game coming up, the Titans get to the line of scrimmage pretty late in the play clock most of the time. They are slow out of the huddle. So that might not be an opportunity for Brian Callahan. But I'm just curious on the 3rd down and passing situation. It's, hey, here's the play, here's the situation. And just like, hey, we're gonna kick, punting is okay. Like, that last thing of punting is okay here, or a field goal is just fine here. Right before Will Levis has that shut off. It's the same thing of like when I was a teenager. Hey, mom, dad, leaving the house. My dad's last thing, hey, don't do anything stupid. Okay. It's like, it's literally that last little, don't do anything stupid. That is just like your, haha, thanks, dad, as you're walking out the house, but you remember it.
Right. I think that's a fair line of questioning. It's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way. And there probably is a little bit of that. That can get tricky. I don't think Brian Callahan is doing too much of that, because I don't think.
Should he though? Now that we have gotten where we are.
Honestly, no. Honestly, like, did you play baseball growing up at all?
Yeah, not very long.
Okay, well, I think a lot of folks in the chat may resonate with this. Like, if you're playing baseball and you're, a second baseman, and you're playing a game and your pitchers they're just struggling up there. They can't find the strike zone. They're off. As a pitcher, it's very annoying when after every pitch, it's like, hey, you got it. Let's just constant feedback. It's like, can we just leave me alone and let me, I'm working through this. I don't worry about it.
It's like, don't tell the person getting worked up to calm down. Like, it's not going to work.
Exactly. Like, calm down, dude. Calm down. You're not helping. I'm not getting calm. Yeah,
I am calm.
I'm so calm. I don't think it would be good for Levis to constantly be getting those little things in the back of his head. Again, I think you got to trust the process here and trust that the guy, like, if you're an NFL quarterback in double-digit start territory and you're still needing little sticky notes in your lunchbox from mom that say "Have a great day" from your quarterback at the end of, or from your coach at the end of a play call, it might already be over. You shouldn't need that at this point.
I mean, I disagree with that point. I think that's part of a relationship, though. Like, that's a building of a relationship of, like, my dad telling me don't do anything stupid was a part of that built relationship.
My point is, if you need it, like, if Will Levis is going to do the dumb thing until he's like, oh yeah, don't throw it to then yeah.
But I just think it's because of the two games that we've watched of third down, you have to throw the football, and it became disaster. It's, hey, field goal's fine. Like, just that's all it is. Like, field goal's a win.
But I guess it has to be a blanket statement from Brian, because I'm trying to think about those two bullheaded plays in particular. What Will Levis did could not have been foreseen by Brian Callahan. It would have only been covered by a blanket statement of don't do anything dumb here, because otherwise you can't advise against what he did. How do you see that coming?
I think it's the every drive needs to end in a kick. Like, if you're kicking the football, it's that
get to the end zone or kick the football, right?
Punt it, or field goal or extra point. Everything ends in a kick. Like that. If it's that, don't do anything stupid. Everything ends in a kick. And if it's 3rd and 7, hey, Will, everything ends in a kick. Whether you're in the red zone or in your own territory, whatever it is, I don't know. It's just something to. And Paul, damn it, dude. Like, I'm gonna block you if you don't
seen this
stop
a million times.
Spanning this damn comment that is just percentages of what. Like, percentages of what?
It's pressure rate through 2 weeks.
Pressure rate. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to actually get to that in a little bit.
We are.
But just like, I'm about to block you better than the Titans offensive line if you keep doing that.
Low bar.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Fine. We'll do that. Let's hear from Brian Callahan on the pressure on the quarterback and who is to blame here between the quarterback himself or the offensive line. And Easton, this is the question that you actually asked Callahan yesterday.
Oh, the pressure impacts everything about playing quarterback. I mean, that's just what it is. We've got to do a better job there. I got to do a better job of trying to help those guys as best I can with the play calls and situations we're in. End of the game when you got to throw it. I mean, here it comes, and that's just what it is. And you got to be able to handle that. And we didn't do as good a job as I think we're capable of doing, and that's an area that has to improve. I think part of that affects the quarterback as well. I mean, it's all tied together. That's why football's a great game, is that you need everybody on offense doing their job. And for everything to look the way it's supposed to. And it's hard to overcome it if every other play there's one person that doesn't do it the way that we're supposed to. And I think we have a lot of that right now that we have to keep hammering and keep fixing so we can get all 11 guys doing things consistently.
What's a reasonable expectation for week-to-week improvement on offensive line pass protection?
I mean, it's slow and steady sometimes. And I know that's not a perfect answer, but I thought if you look at what JC did from week 1 to week 2, and I thought you look what Peter did to week 1 to week 2, that was a pretty good jump. Those guys did a nice job and they improved. And we got to do a better job on the right side. That's where a lot of the pressure came in the game. But it's possible to improve at a good enough rate, but it's also not necessarily an overnight process. So things take time and they take experience and reps, and that's where we're at.
Easton, you've talked a ton about the amount of pressure the O-line's giving up. How do you see the improvement, or if there is any improvement as a unit, right?
Yeah, so as a unit, I can't say there was a ton of improvement in that game. Going back and watching the tape, which I have done most of rewatching, but not all, the left side of the line looked significantly better. So there is something to hang your hat on. We were concerned collectively about Peter Skoronski and JC Latham coming out of the Chicago game because they both looked rather bad. They both looked rather good in week 2. So that is nice. And especially in the running game, when you look at Tony Pollard's Next Gen Stats run left is officially back in Tennessee. Those two are road graders over there. If nothing else, they're going to be awesome run blockers as a duo for the Titans this year. So you can hang your hat on that. And I think in the past game, they both looked much better as well. Latham in particular, I was quite impressed with. He was over and undersetting quite a bit in Chicago, letting guys get past him. Used that athleticism to his advantage in this game and looked a lot. I'd imagine in that building, they're much more pleased with their first round pick after week 2. And I think that's what you're going to see more of down the stretch here. On the other side of the line, we talked about Nicholas Petit-Frere in the post-game show and about how he set a next-gen stats era record for 13 pressures allowed in a single game. I do want to, not to go too far off the beaten path here. We spread that idea that there were 13 pressures on 35 pass blocking snaps for NPF. Next-gen stats, their pressures are this is one of the most annoying things about data. Depending on who you ask, the numbers are different. So, like, according to PFF, I think he had 8.
9, I saw. 9.
Okay, yeah. So, like, Next Gen includes sacks in their pressure data. They also don't attribute any to the quarterback. So, a couple of NPF's pressures where the guy he was guarding got to Levis was because Levis also helped in that endeavor. But all of that aside, whether it was 8 or 9 or 13, he was very, 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 very bad. And Dylan Radins wasn't much better. I'm not. Maybe the question is how panicked we are about the right side of the line, because through 2 games they haven't been spectacular. I'm still, again, trusting the process with Bill Callahan. I don't think it would be smart to give up on a coach who I have seen turn lesser players into serviceable starters. It just, again, takes time. But if you want to talk about the bye week, if we get to the bye week and NPF is still like leading the league in pressures allowed by double digits, I'll be concerned.
Well, here's the thing too, because NPF missed the whole offseason.
Yeah.
And then a whole week of training camp, right? So like, it's going to take time as in general. It's going to take NPF more time because of the time that he missed. I did see a comment I wanted to get to real quick. Amber says, Titans spent too much money in other positions, but only signed 1 offensive lineman, draft 1. There were 4 spots needed. Now they signed 2. Sadiq Charles screwed him over.
Yeah.
And
let's also go back to look at who was available to sign. There's not awesome offensive linemen available in free agency. So
draft offensive lineman greater than free agent signing offensive lineman as a general rule of thumb. But Sadiq Charles screwing them over hurts their depth. I think they're still so afraid to have Daniel Brunskill get hurt playing right guard that they're not willing to do that.
But they should. They should. And my buddy Stoney Keeley, who does great film study work and knows more about offensive line than you or I do for sure.
Yeah.
He came away from watching that game like, guys, we need to talk about Daniel Brunskill. He didn't play many snaps, but when he was in, they looked good. He was balling.
As the extra lineman.
Yeah, but I mean, when he was an extra lineman out there, he looked like the best lineman on some of the plays. They should utilize him more. And you're 100% right. They're scared to lose their backup center. I don't care. Let the man play.
Yeah, like what's the point of being scared about losing your backup center when you suck because your right side of the offensive line can't do anything?
Right.
Like this is the break glass in case of emergency. It is an emergency. The right side of the offensive line can't do anything.
Right.
So there is a point to get to that. All right, we have a ton of comments to get to here. Super chat time here on the show. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans can help you out and help you save money on your health coverage. Everybody needs health coverage and the right plan for your situation. Farm Bureau Health Plan specializes in that and has served Tennesseans for over 78 years. That is a long time, a lot of generations, and a lot has changed in Tennessee, but Farm Bureau Health Plans has just gotten better at getting you in the right spot when it comes to your coverage. Health, dental, vision, all of it, just some of it, whatever you can do, you can pick and choose. It's not cookie cutter. It's up to you. Farm Bureau Health Plans can help you out, and start by getting a quote using our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
We're also brought to you by BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. Sign up today using our promo code A2Z Sports and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you do not win on your first bet, whether you're cheering on the Titans at the stadium or watching the game at your favorite Music City sports bar, you'll always be able to get in on the action with the BetMGM app right in the palm of your hand. There's nothing better than a Titans win, and there's nothing like the thrill of winning at BetMGM. Enjoy the best parlay selection options, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, and so much more. Download the BetMGM app today and sign up using code A to Z Sports. Experience this football season like never before. BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans.
All right, super chat time here on the show. King VC says, lock in and like the show. Hit that like button if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. That goes a long way for us. Servuko says, let's make a t-shirt and posters with Take the Sack and share it before the game to all the fans. Like, not a terrible idea overall.
I had a friend in the stands at the game. You know that one screen pass where Levis just dirted the ball?
Yeah.
He said that their section erupted in cheers because the bar was so low to not do something dumb. They're like, good job, smart play.
Maybe that's instead of Brian Callahan with 15 seconds on the play clock, hey, don't do anything stupid. It's just the guy in the second row that's like, take the sack.
Positive reinforcement from the audience. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Brian, they're just sectioned in the stadium of take the sack shirts. Brian says the O-line should factor into Levis's leash. If they don't improve, neither will Will Levis. That's why he should get the entire season. I think it's a really good comment, especially off what we just talked about with it's going to take time for the O-line to gel. We've already seen a nice jump from week 1 to week 2 on the left side. NPF started from behind. Dylan Radin's good in week 1, bad in week 2. So we'll kind of see how that all goes. And Lloyd Cushenberry is just kind of there to try to hold it all together.
Mm-hmm.
How has Cushenberry been?
He's been perfectly fine. He is arguably their best pass protector and arguably their worst run blocker, which is kind of what you signed up for when you went and got him. But he has not been your problem.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think he's allowed on the year like 4 pressures and 0 sacks or something.
Noah, Levis isn't seeing the intermediate part of the field. He's either deep ball or short check down, consistently hitting the intermediate areas, how good quarterbacks make their money. Levis is missing open guys a lot in that area. I mean, yes, I think he is being coached to do this. I think
I'm writing an entire article at A2ZSports.com today on this. So no, I'll have more for you later today. We're looking at some passing charts. I asked Brian Callahan about this yesterday, so you don't have to take my word for it, but it's an interesting line of questioning for sure.
Yeah. I think there's a big picture NFL trend that's affecting this too. But I also think there's a lot of coaching that goes into it. And I'm curious to read what Ethan's going to have coming up. Amnesia just has a comment, says, what happened to having no expectations?
Huh?
I don't know.
Who had no expectations?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean,
Amnesia, clarify for us on that one.
Yeah. With the thinking emoji 3 times. Who had no expectations? Because
what did happen? That's what we're wondering this morning. What happened to those?
Juan says, how far do you go with 8 before you lose the team? As in losing the locker room.
Interesting. I don't think Levis. I think the locker room is behind him 100%. I think the leash he has with his peers may be longer than the leash he has with his coaches. Honestly,
the leash that matters is the leash that he has with Amy.
Well, sure.
But I think she genuinely really likes Will.
Yes.
So, but she also really liked Mike Vrabel too until she didn't.
True.
And so I don't think he's going to lose the roster, but there will be a time when the defense is like, come on, man. Like we're doing there is a reality where that sets in, but I don't know when that would be.
Well, I thought about that yesterday, Austin, because you're right. I mean, look at the Jets last year. It in particular, because the Titans defense is still by most counting metrics, the number 1 defense in the league. It's just 2 weeks. And they've played 2 questionable offenses, but they are looking really, really good, like top of the league good. And we saw this from the Jets last year when it was the Zach Wilson show. Their defense was amazing. And it was by like week 6, 7, 8, right in the meat of the season where you were starting to get some little passive aggressive quotes from the defense in the locker room. Like, yeah, man, we're doing the best we can out here. Sure would love some help.
Andre says, if Levis keeps it up, it seems like the Titans always need a quarterback before or after a good class. 24 could be a better could be better than 23 and 26. Looks better than 25. And Andre comes back to back super chat says, play Levis, build the team more in the offseason, and make the blockbuster move for Arch and Nico in 26 and be done with this round of carousel. Look, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Arch Manning has played a half of football against San Antonio, and Nico has played 4 games, half of which are against Chattanooga and Kent State, where only played a half or less. So pump brakes. But the first part, it does feel like the Titans have been off cycle with quarterback classes.
That's a funny take. Yeah.
But it's true. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, because like, what was the last quarterback class we unanimously considered? I mean, I feel like people considered Levis's class to be a top quarterback class in a while. Obviously, the Malik class was not. The Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Lance class was considered to be great. Mac Jones to be great, but it's not panned out great.
Mm-mm.
The
Burrow, Tua, Herbert.
That was the last. Yeah, that was the last one that we considered to be great and turned out to be pretty gosh darn great.
Yeah. Who else is in that class?
Burrow, Tua, Herbert, Burrow. Yeah, who else was it? Was it just those 3?
It might have been just those 3.
Yeah.
1, 5, 6.
I swear we're missing somebody, but maybe not.
The chat will help us out if we are. I don't know. Maybe not. 2021 class? Or is that 20?
That should be the
2020 class. Hurts. Jalen Hurts.
Okay, that's what it was.
Second round of Jalen Hurts. Yeah. So look, it is interesting that they've been off cycle a little bit, but when you had Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota, you picked second. So that's not a bad spot to be in. When you had the pick between Vince Young, Matt Leinart, or Jay Cutler, you picked third. You just picked the wrong guy.
Right.
And so it's like, Jake Locker. Yes. Because you picked Jake Locker and the next year it's Luck and RG3. So, I mean,
you're not quite the Steelers. When I think of a team that's on a bad cycle, like the Steelers needed a guy and it was Pickett season. The Steelers now need a guy and you're looking at Shadur Sanders or Carson Beck. Yeah.
One guy said
Quinn
Connor
Ewers.
Wegman yesterday. I was like, no, Connor Wegman.
Sure. Yeah. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah. Pittsburgh, draft Connor Wegman. See how that goes. Astro says, if Levis blows it in 24, go for Beck or Sanders in 25 or wait for Manning in 26. Like Arch Manning, like, come on, guys. Like, we're talking.
Austin, do you know who his dad is? Come on. He's going to be great.
Cooper?
Yeah.
He's Cooper's son. He's not even Peyton. He's Peyton's nephew.
I know.
Some
Everybody
people
likes to talk about his uncles. No one wants to talk about his dad.
There is conspiracy theories that Arch is actually Peyton's son.
Okay.
I don't buy it.
That's very college football. Yeah.
Oh, of course it is. Eric says, ditch the flick. Yes, sure. It's also on a t-shirt. And this was not a super chat, but it's something that I thought was worth discussing for a second. Tom says, Levis is a bust already. Hardly worth watching games at this point. I disagree, because however you feel about Will Levis or whatever Will Levis does on the football field,
he's Hollywood, baby.
It's worth watching. Because it's so unpredictable. It's so ridiculous.
I listen to a lot of national pundits and podcasts, and I've got some friends that do like just the whole league. And so I listen to them. And so far this season, the unanimous take has been Will Levis is my favorite person to watch on Sundays, because you just never know, man. When they say I get excited when Red Zone cuts to, and here's Will Levis, and you're like, what's he gonna do?
There we go.
For Titans fans, it sucks, but for the rest of the league, he's generational run of memes, 2 weeks, 2 unbelievable images with the surrender cobra followed by the something scorpion.
The fumble scorpion fumble.
Wait, I'm gonna go find it because it was so good.
Now, while you do that, William James Jones says, as a PSL holder, Levis makes it hard to want to buy new tickets for the stadium. Now, that's a fair point. But if you're just talking about watching the games, Will Levis is worth
fumble scorpion. Surrender Cobra and Fumble Scorpion. What'll week 3 provide? We'll just have to tune in and find out.
I mean, there are high school athletes doing the on the knees Surrender Cobra after touchdowns.
That's tough.
I think I said, because I was in a text group talking about Will Levis, and I was like, Will Levis is a county fair car race. You show up because it's going to be wild, and you're going to see some wrecks. It's like, that's just what it's going to be. Like, and that's, again, not good for the Titans business, but it is so much fun to watch because I don't know what the hell is going to happen. And it's going to be maddening at times, but that's what being a football fan's about.
Hey, for better or for worse, the Titans were a very boring football team for a long time. They are, if nothing else, they are not boring today.
Yep, without a doubt. All right, I want to see. Yep, that's all the super chats for the time being. So let's go ahead and transition over to throwing shade. If you have shade to throw it in the chat, and we will read it. Throwing shade coming up to wrap up this Tuesday. Shout out to our friends at Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com to save some money on that new ride, Wilson County Hyundai. So, Easton, I'll send you the chat to see if you can spy some shades to throw, and then we will throw shade. We're actually, real quick, another super chat, Kick of the King, says, way too early, but Cam Ward eyeball looks interesting.
Way too early indeed.
Yes, way too early for sure. But Cam Ward Heisman odds climbing. So shade, you see shade in the chat, Easton?
Yeah, we're getting a couple shades in here. Eric says shade on the Madden curse. It's alive and well, obviously in reference to, I'd imagine, the star of Eric's fantasy team, Christian McCaffrey, missing some time. Let's see. Brad says his shade is the Sooners are fixing to get humbled by Tennessee on Saturday. I don't think Jackson Arnold is the guy. We'll see about that. I was told, I'm not, I don't follow college sports much, but I was told yesterday that apparently somebody at Oklahoma misspelled Heupel's name in some press release. Did you see this?
I did not see that one. I've seen other things though.
Okay. Yeah. So just some very petty things back and forth. And then Heupel being asked about how he'll be received in Oklahoma. And he said, I'm sure they'll be very quiet in reverence and respect. Out of respect. Yeah. Right. Which is good content.
Yeah. I think it's going to be great. If you want any of the Vols, Oklahoma drama, A2Zsports.com/Vols, do that because we've got a ton of it up there, including radio hosts taking the lowest shot at Josh Heupel, which means he has no faith in Oklahoma in this game. If you resort to this line of
personal attacks,
then you have nothing else.
Oh, now I got to go read that because I missed this. I don't know what they're talking about. Dual shade here on Jeff's Colts for losing to Malik Willis. Also shade on Michigan for going to wish.com, getting the wish.com Jalen Milroe at their quarterback. The Colts, I was talking to our Colts writer here at A to Z yesterday. I was just like, hey, Destin, what are the vibes? I feel like I've been so in the Titans Levis panic. What's the Richardson panic like right now? And his take was that it's also bad, but less bad because the Colts defense also sucks because there's an easy
right. That's the thing is like the Titans are teasing you, and the Colts is like, well, they're giving up 1 million rushing yards, so what are we going to do anyway?
Right, exactly. Like I said throwing shade at the panic-filled chat, obviously, like I said, trying to be more relaxed about the Titan season so far. Bork says shade on BS internet stories, putting people in actual danger. Not sure what that's in reference to, but we shouldn't be putting people in danger.
I would agree with it. I don't know what it means.
Sure. Ethan says shade on people continuing to think Morgan Wallen will serve jail time. We're still talking about the chair thing. Okay, sure. Anything else really interesting? Shade on the economy. Jabu's he's not happy with his stock portfolio today.
Rent is too damn high.
Listen, I can get with it. Sure. Throwing shade at Billy Napier for sucking at his job. An evergreen shade, to be sure. That's tough. I mean, you don't talk about who there's an interesting question. Who is more hopeless today? Florida Gator fans or Carolina Panther fans?
Florida State fans.
Florida State fans? You think so?
Florida State fans, man. Because that's my shade.
Okay, we'll go for it then. Great transition.
Is Mike Norvell. Stop with the DJU. If you want to save your ass, stop playing DJU. You've got to do something
DJ's leash shouldn't be the full season, is what you're telling me.
No, he should be. I can't believe he started against Memphis. They are so terrible. Like Florida State was favored by 6.5 against Memphis. And I was like, Memphis plus 6.5 all day long. And I won that bet. I put a lot on it. I put a couple units on that thing.
There you
I
go.
was so confident about that one because Mike Norvell, like being this stubborn about DJU at one point, he was like 5 out of 6 passing with an interception for 7 yards. That was an actual stat.
Yeah.
5 of 6 with an interception for 7 yards.
It's impressive.
And Jeff, DJ, you need another job. Damn straight. And Mike Norvell might need another job if he doesn't get off of DJU. And I thought I wasn't going to pull the clip because of time, but I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was at the press conference for Mike Norvell. And at the end of the press conference, the fire alarm started going off.
It's poignant.
Yes. And he's sitting there answering a question about God knows what. And there's like, meh, meh. And fire, please evacuate the building. Fire, please evacuate the building. I'm like, this is just too perfect.
It's too on the nose. The writers are doing too good a job.
Yes. So that's my shade. Is Mike Norvell not moving off of DJU?
Does it even matter who their backup is? I was about to ask who their
backup is a highly recruited freshman out of Memphis.
Okay. So yeah, get him in there. Okay. Well, my shade today is also football related. It's NFL football related, and it is shade to the schedule makers for the way that they have scheduled the split between the early window and the afternoon window. We saw the first Deca box of the season on Red Zone this past Sunday because the early window had 10 games going on at one time. Then the afternoon window had just 3. As a Red Zone enjoyer, one, that's annoying because Red Zone it's whiplash in the early window. You can't track anything. And then in the late window, you feel like you're just flipping the channels yourself because they're constantly having to go to a nothing burger in a game because the other 2 games are like, there's not enough games to flip around. This should at least be a 9-4, 8-4 split. I prefer I don't mind 5 games in the late window, but if you look at the whole season, the split every week, there's a lot of 10-3, 11-3 outrageous splits where I don't know what they're thinking, why they don't want more games on an island in the afternoon, but that's very frustrating. So that's my shade. NFL schedule makers, get it together with the time.
No, I like that. Yeah, more balance in the early and afternoon window, I think is a good call. Raul throws shade on me. Fair enough. For trying to block him this morning. I didn't actually try to. I was just frustrated at your spamming of percentage numbers that didn't have any extra context. Like if you're going to throw stats in there, like you can't just throw the numbers because the numbers don't mean anything. Easton picked up on it. But I didn't know what 53% meant. Yeah, look, and also at first I called you Paul because I was reading too fast.
Very disrespectful. I saw getting the guy's name wrong.
R was a P as I was reading. You just started eating that banana and I was not expecting that. Kicking the Kings shade super chat at EA Sports laziness. NFL needs to revoke exclusive gaming rights. Let 2K or Sony do something with an NFL game today. I agree with this. I don't play video games anymore, but I do think from what I've seen, Madden has gotten worse because there's no reason for it to get better.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't play Madden myself, but it does seem to be just the same game over and over for another $70 every year. It feels kind of like phones where it's like the iPhone is just the same thing every year. That's my question is how does it get markedly better besides just the graphics looking better? But diehard Madden fans apparently have a laundry list of things and EA just says, we don't care.
Yeah. Nick says shade on Easton for eating a banana on camera. Look, I mean, it was a bold move. It felt like you just went for it. And
I honestly, it wasn't intentional. It just like my monkey brain saw food and I just put it in my mouth.
The funniest thing is there is a piece of paper in the magic bucket that says to eat a banana throughout the show. And so
I hope that's if I ever have to do the magic, I think I have to this week, right? Because we have Sam on tomorrow.
Yes, you do.
Well,
Sam
I'm manifesting that one.
That's a good point. Sam is on tomorrow's show because tomorrow's show will feature a Survivor 47 preview.
Hey, how about that?
Survivor 47 is just one day away from debuting.
Right, tomorrow night.
Premiering. And so,
What, 7 p.m. Central Time tomorrow night?
7 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday night. So Sam and I are going to give a preview of Survivor 47 because he has not been able to talk about it really at all. And so this is his last chance to talk about it before the show in the season begins.
Wait, so is he allowed to talk about it tomorrow?
Yes, we have this. We have it organized where Sam is able to talk about Survivor tomorrow on the show.
Okay.
It is set up by CBS and Survivor because that's what we had to do. And so Clayton says, who cares about Survivor? I didn't until my employee went on Survivor. And so that is where I care about Survivor this season. And if you like Sam, then I think you should be interested in watching it. Jared says, what's Survivor? It is a show where Sam was on an island for a period of time trying to win a social game and compete. So
reality TV, says, my friend.
Yeah, I still don't care. Okay, Clayton, you don't have to watch.
Well, we'll see you Thursday, Clayton.
Television. But yeah, no, but honestly, this is going to be really interesting. Jameson says Sam has been muzzled more than the team during the offseason. Yeah, like it is tight. They run a tight ship over there.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they allow him to say tomorrow. Because I don't know. We'll see. But you're right that anytime I talk to Sam about what can and can't be said, you see the fear of God in his eyes when something starts to slip and he's like, please don't. He's very concerned. I think that they have scared all their contestants into silence.
For sure. Jake says, Sam is engaged to be married. He is getting married next year. So Jake's comment is irrelevant. Sam is engaged. So let's be respectful of that relationship because that's only fair. All right. So Sam will be on to preview Survivor 47 tomorrow. That'll be fun. And Easton, we will see you on Thursday where you have to make your Magic Bucket debut. And if you do pull the eat a banana on screen, then I'm going to make you pull again. But
no, that's not fair. If I manage to pull it, then that's
you have to eat it. No, you have to do it again. You just have to eat another banana.
That's fine. I'll eat all the bananas. It beats all the other Magic Buckets I've seen. I hate the Magic Bucket already. So
it creates anxiety.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. All right. That'll be it for us on this Tuesday. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out the door. Like the show before you go on Facebook and on YouTube. Sam will be live for A to Z Sports Primetime as he fills in on Tuesdays for Buck during the season. But get ready for that a little earlier today than normal. But Sam will be live for A to Z Primetime tonight. And I'll see you with Sam tomorrow morning for a Survivor preview and Titans talk. It's not just going to be Survivor. We will talk Titans at first and Survivor to wrap it up. But that'll be it for us on this Tuesday. We'll catch you guys later. Appreciate it as always.